Hey Las Vegas, thanks for joining us back here on Vegas Realty Check, your local Las Vegas real estate news show. I am Trish Williams.
And I'm Tiana Carroll. Welcome back to another episode. We're going to talk everything Las Vegas numbers, and then we have a very special guest with us.
Yes, we're excited about that. So let's get through the numbers for this week really
just
quickly.
knock them out.
Because there's nothing exciting going on.
Well, I don't know. My blood rushed a little bit when I saw them.
Really?
Yeah, let's get into it. So now we are 4,279 single-family homes on the market.
Yeah, that inventory is raising. We have had rates drop, though. Lowest in 5 months.
Right.
Yeah. So the rates dropped quite a bit. In rate world, quite a bit. we're still in mid sixes, guys, but still,
You're getting the whole world excited out there. They thought we were back down in the threes.
Yeah, no,
they did not drop like that.
They're looking much better than they have been. So yeah. Lowest in 5 months.
So we're getting a big influx of inventory that's ticking up each week, more and more and more.
Yeah, and I really haven't seen the amount of activity I would hope with even the small rate adjustment. So I think that things have still been a bit slow.
I think that when we get to the under contract, you'll see that has jumped the most this week. But before we get there, sold, how many did we get?
432 sold.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we got a price decrease of 548. So that's going up again too.
Yeah.
More price decreases are happening.
Absolutely. And then 570 under contract.
That kind of got me excited. That's a bigger number than normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where we were last week, but
there's so many texts between you and I during the week. I could never go back and find it, but I do have the Excel file that has all of the price. What are we looking at? Price reduction? Or no, we're looking at under contract.
Under contracts for last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Under contract was what, 5?
We can always go back on our videos later and compare.
Well, what was the under contract last week? Because I switched screens.
This one was 5.
This week.
Oh, this week was 5.
Oh, you don't have it.
Yeah, I switched screens already.
Okay, well, anyway, that's going back to like numbers of like 548. That's going back to like last year in summer. Mm-hmm. We've had those same 548s and then it dipped. But I like that there's all that activity.
Yeah, doing good. So definitely the inventory raising, it has been slowing things down a little bit though, on top of that. So we're getting more listings. So even the under contract, that inventory number staying higher is definitely.
But it's giving more options out there now.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think we'd get this late in the summer.
Yeah, and so options are great. So buyers are loving that too.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Numbers done.
Numbers are done. That was quick, right?
We're over that. You got the numbers. Well, last week was the whole market update. So then we went in depth on days on market, on everything. So now you guys got to get an idea. We follow it every week. If you're here every week, you know we do numbers at the beginning of the show. Like and follow us, share us. That way you keep apprised on what's going on in those numbers. And then we have special guests in our studios today.
Yes, so we have talked quite a bit on this show about the Las Vegas Spaceport.
We have. You'll see it in a few different episodes, including me getting lost trying to find it, but we found it.
Yes, we found it, and
we didn't find it. We found the man who owns it.
Yeah, so he's
got that land.
We found Mr. Rob Lauer. Woo. And Rob is the CEO of Las Vegas Spaceport. And he's here to give us all of the details about it.
Which is very exciting. He was kind enough to, a few weeks ago, take us out to the actual 240-acre piece of land that will be future Spaceport. So welcome to the show, Rob.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And thanks for coming out. Thanks for showing us the project. You're very, very excited about it, which gets us excited. And you've been all over the news, especially a couple of weeks ago. You got some big news, didn't you?
We did. We got some great news. May 8th. The county unanimously voted to approve our runway and entitlements. And then a couple of weeks ago, the FAA approved our airport as well. So we have essentially a shovel-ready project right now. However, we do still have several more things to deal with as far as the drainage study and other engineering before we start actually building the runway. So we're realistically about 6 months away from actually starting the runway construction.
6 months is a pretty short time period.
Well, we started this really essentially in November last year and filed our documents with the FAA on December 11th. And a month after that, with the county. So in 7 months, I've been able to accomplish getting the county approval and the FAA approval, which is the advantage of private sector over public sector.
Yeah, that's definitely moving fast because they are taking their time at the new airport that's slated for the state line.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. So Senator Harry Reid created a bill to transfer thousands of acres from the BLM to the Clark County Airport to build a new international airport by Prim. That was in 1999, 24 years ago. And this year, the airport authority announced that they are dedicated to moving forward with the new airport, and they just need 17 more years to study it before they break ground.
Years.
So 37 years. But and it's not 37 years to complete it, it's 37 years to study it before they break ground, maybe, sort of, kind of. So private sector versus public sector, huge advantage.
Yeah.
And when it's your money, it's different than when it's taxpayer money.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. So and you spoke a little bit about a runway that you're hoping to have finished within the next 6 months. Tell us about that and how the project is going to be progressing from that runway and what it is going to essentially be.
Well, since you're a real estate podcast, so this is a real estate deal at the end of the day, right? I went out and found dirt. I found the right property. I had to look at different situations, like, for example, airspace was a critical issue, because this whole valley is controlled by, it's called Class Bravo airspace, very highly controlled airspace for all the jets coming in and out of McCarran Airport, or now Harry Reid Airport. On the top of that, you have Nellis Air Force Base with 2/3 of the airspace controlled in the entire state by the military operations there.
Yeah.
So this piece of real estate is actually outside the Class Bravo and outside the military airspace. So it's the last piece of open airspace to operate an airport in all of Clark County. So it makes it very exclusive for aviation use. And so that was a big reason why I chose it. I'm a pilot, been flying since I was 17, and I saw this piece of land for sale a few years ago, was tracking it, and then I looked at it one day and was like, it's a rectangle, that's a runway. And it has water. It's got a well there, as you saw, and so we are moving forward with our runway first. On top of that, we plan to build what's called an FBO, or a private jet terminal, a fuel farm to provide fuel to jets and aircraft, and then we plan to build about 40 large hangars for people to park their planes and so forth. So those are commercial real estate deals where we're going to have major corporations renting the facilities, jet owners, fuel farm. So we have a predictable revenue stream from leases for hangars and the fuel farm and the fuel revenue from that. So that's the basic starting point, and that's how we know what our revenues are going to be from the start. Then there's things we're adding on, like air races, and of course we're in Vegas, so we want to attract the 42 million tourists to take part in our civilian basic training, civilian flight, space flight academy, where they're going to get to go on a zero gravity flight with a Gulfstream jet, and we're actually at the end of this month acquiring 2 fighter jets that'll be part of that program. So they'll be able to go on a fighter jet that'll simulate going to space over the desert at night with the stars.
Oh wow!
You can actually see that on our.
You'd see the curvature.
You can see the curvature of the Earth. And when you're over the desert, it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And you see the curvature of the Earth, you see the Milky Way. It's the closest thing to being out of space without going into space you'll ever experience in your life.
Wow.
And so it's basic training for the average civilian, because not everyone's going to like it. Some people are going to love it, some people may not like it. And so it's a great way to get people that first experience, that initial experience. And of course, it's going to make money for our business model. On top of that, we plan to build a casino hotel, which is obviously a proven model in Las Vegas.
Now, is that the tower?
That's the tower.
So if you're looking at the rendering, which we had up a few minutes ago on the screen, if you're watching live, here it is. That big tower in the back, is that casino hotel? Yeah,
so the first floor will be the casino hotel and a terminal, and then the round part will be rooms, and then the top part will be a restaurant and a control tower.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. What is that big thing at the bottom that looked like a UFO?
Yeah,
is that like an observation deck?
That'll be where we can have helicopters land, and and we can also have basically that's where the casino floor will be, on that level, that first level.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's
So it's,
forward thinking, of course, and it's but I think it's important that we not just have an idea, but the architecture reflects that forward vision.
yeah.
Right.
It's really a very interesting building, and the land is such great location.
Well, and the other part of it is it's a real estate deal, right? So we're
Yeah.
trying to maximize the real estate. We have 10 million square feet, which sounds like a lot, 240 acres, but we need to maximize it. So that space there, that only takes up 1 acre out of 240, and I can put a large hotel tower there and really create real cash flow and revenue from that 1 acre,
Right.
and maximize that real estate.
Yeah. And how much of the property is the runway going to be taking? Approximately.
Well, that's going to be 11 acres. So it's 5,000 square feet if you include the thresholds and everything else.
Okay.
Then we have room for parking. We'll have, like I said, a private jet terminal. And then we'll have 30,000 square foot hangars. Sorry, 20,000 square foot hangars with 2,000 square foot offices. And those will be for lease for $1.50 a foot. In fact, we were out there.
Wow, that's really great. That's like
It is.
half the price of Harry Reid.
Harry Reid, right now, there's one hangar. It's 10,000 square feet. It's subleased for $3.50 a foot. So 35,000
Wow.
a month. And ours is twice as large for half the price. And our jet fuel prices, I think, will be more competitive. And so we have to compete to bring people out. And frankly, there's 100 jets right now on a waiting list to park in this town.
Really?
So I was
Okay.
out there yesterday giving a tour to people that own private jets, looking for a place to park them because they can't park them here.
Yeah.
I know people who want to buy jets and they don't have a place to park them there. They've held off on their purchase.
Yeah.
So there's a huge opportunity there. But also half the hangars are going to be slated for space companies. So right now we're way behind the curve. California in El Segundo, Colorado, Texas, Florida, they are way ahead in the space industry. They have thousands of companies, startup companies, established companies that are building this next economy. And we haven't done anything. We really haven't. And we are, I think, the best city in the entire country to have a space economy, a space industry.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that we have 300 days of sunshine. I went and visited Cape Canaveral, and I was there. There was a rooftop at a hotel I was on across from Cape Canaveral where you can watch rockets launch. I'm sitting there having dinner and there's sunshine, and an hour later there's a storm.
Florida,
You know,
baby.
it's Florida, right? And we don't have that issue here, generally speaking. And so we have great weather. We have no income tax, no corporate income tax. Our cost of living still is a quarter of California and Florida. So the cost of living here is way less to bring employees here. We plan to build a STEM university to try to address the human capital and have a workforce that's trained for this industry. That's going forward as we speak. We plan to have our first class in fall of 2025 for aerospace
Excellent.
engineers.
Well, that's
Yeah.
very soon.
Oh, he's moving right along on this.
Yeah.
Like that runway would be built if you didn't have to wait for the 3 months for the drainage survey, right?
Well, the FAA and the bureaucrats just drag their butts on everything, and it should have been done in March, but it's bureaucracy. They don't care because it's not their money. That's the problem. That's the problem with government. That's why you look at Musk, what he was able to do with $100 million and build SpaceX. $100 million. Just to give you a perspective, one space shuttle launch cost $1 billion for one launch. And he created an entire new company with entirely new technology with rockets that could take off and land and
Right.
recycle them.
Recycle them. That was impressive.
And so we went from a time when the space shuttle cost $19,000 a kilogram to put a person or cargo into space. And Musk, because of his new technology, recycled rockets, brought that cost down to $1,900 a kilogram. And so I believe the next step is going to be space planes. And I think that's where our facility is really going to capitalize. What a space plane basically is it's an aircraft essentially built of titanium that's got a combination of either scramjet or ramjet engines and rockets. And there's multiple companies right now working on that technology feverishly, trying to be the first to bring that out.
Wow.
And so it can take off, accelerate to Mach 5, go into orbit, deliver people and cargo and return, and do it again. And by being able to do that again and safely using aircraft wings in operations, first of all, it's going to be a lot safer than rockets. I mean, rockets are still very, very unpredictable. And,
Yeah, they are.
You look at the space shuttle, and the federal government had endless money to spend on the space shuttle, and out of 143 launches, they had 2 catastrophic losses.
Yeah.
Now imagine that for airplanes. You'd have 10 catastrophic losses every day if you're going to fly airplanes with the same loss. You can't do that. It's not sustainable. So, and these aircraft, these space planes will be able to bring the cost down to $300 a kilogram. So we're talking $30,000 for the average person, the cost to put them into space, versus millions right now for a rocket that's unpredictable. And by the way, Boeing put their rocket into space with 2 astronauts on a just a experimental launch, dry run,
that one.
and they're stuck up there now weeks later, and they have no expectation of coming back. I mean,
It's awful.
it's just a disaster.
awful.
It's an embarrassment, and we're going to have to call the Russians 911 to come rescue our astronauts.
I just want to know who signs up for that experimental launch, because I'm like, nothing about that sounds good.
I don't know.
Well-
the people who love space love space. I'm going to tell you that right now. Everybody I've talked to who is into space, excited to go up there, they go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you make a great point. So when I was out in Cape Canaveral, I visited a company called Space Perspective.
Okay.
And they're building a 10-man capsule.
okay.
That uses a balloon the size of a football stadium to bring the capsule up 100 miles above Earth.
Right.
And it's very slow, but it gives you a perspective of Earth from 100 miles up. It's
Okay,
close
so
to
that's
space. It's right,
technically, isn't that space though? Isn't
Technically,
space
it's
only
right-
like 63
it's right on
miles?
it. Yeah, technically it's space, yes. But my point is, they're selling seats for $125,000 a seat.
Wow.
And they've got $200 million in sales already locked in.
So it's a hot air balloon ride to space.
Correct.
I'd rather be in a plane.
Huge hot air balloon. Experimental huge.
But for $125,000 a
Yeah.
seat, at $125,000 a seat,
Yeah.
they already have $200 million in sales.
That's
locked in.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah.
That is.
So it tells you the money and the demand out there for experiencing this stuff
Yeah.
is tremendous.
Well, space is projected to be what, a $2.7 billion business, right?
Absolutely.
So, and it's already a space race. Musk has like 60% of the sharehold in it right now, but there are companies and people like yourself who are dying to get up there and to cash in on some of that space revenue.
Well, again, I think if we can develop space planes, we bring the cost radically down for people and cargo to get into space. And it's all about doing it cheaper than the next guy, right? If you can do it smarter, cheaper, safer, you're going to beat it out. I don't think rockets, I think in 10 years, may become obsolete if these space planes start taking over and they can do it safer, cheaper. And by the way, rockets are limited right now to the coast. So you have the Florida coast and you have Vandenberg on the coast. So they're so unstable, they're only allowed to launch
over water.
Not over land. Now that might change in 10 years as that technology grows and becomes more stable. But to give you a perspective, the rockets came out in the 50s. The same time the 707 airliner came out, and the airliner is now highly safe and predictable. And the rockets are still unpredictable and dangerous. And so obviously the clear direction is to go with the space planes that are going to create a stable platform that can be done over and over again and create the stability and cost difference. So and that's what we're focused on. There's several companies that have exciting technologies in that area. And I think I know companies right now that have engines that are fully operational. They're starting to build the platforms and the aircraft to put them on, and they're already testing smaller mock-ups. They're starting to build the bigger ones. I think 3 to 5 years from now, you're looking at fully operational space planes. And by the end of this decade, which is not that far away at this point, you think about 4 years ago, not that long ago.
No.
And so 6 years from now, it'll be reality. We have the technology to do it. It's a question of money.
Yeah.
If we invest the money and do it smart and do it and do it in a way that makes sense, then we're going to have that technology operational. But if we let government regulations and all the other stuff get in the way, it's going to drag out. And that's the problem. The problem we have a regulatory system at every level that was really written in the 60s that doesn't apply to the new technology and the new space technology that's out there.
That makes sense.
I have to assume that the space technology has to be in line sort of like the AI. It's moving faster than they can regulate anyway.
Well, they're trying to regulate it, but remember the FAA never regulated space platforms ever before. That was NASA, that was the federal government that operated them, and they didn't really they wrote their own rules and they did their own things, and but this is the first time since 2016 when the Space Act was passed by Congress that you have the legal authority to build a private spaceport and to operate private rockets and space planes. And that's created a whole new market. And that's why Elon Musk and Bezos and all these other companies are now able to offer the private sector those platforms to put their cargo and people into space. And now the government is now on board as their customers, not the operators. Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
But the regulatory system is still, frankly, from the 60s and hasn't caught up to the technology. And frankly, we are in a new space race with China, with India, with Europe. And by the way, China doesn't need the FAA and the bureaucracy to build a new spaceport. They can just go out and
do
build
whatever
it,
they
right?
want. Yeah.
So we're competing with China, and China is competing with us for access to space, for the resources on the moon and in this solar system. The moon has more gold than Earth.
Wow.
Okay, so I guarantee you.
I have land on the moon, so
You're like, I own part of the moon.
I own a piece out there. So.
Hopefully it's on a gold mine, girl.
I know. Get me up there. Get us a plane. Get us up there.
Right? I know a guy. He can
Yeah.
get you up there in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's amazing technology that's on the road. And I tell people this, people think that, well, are we going to have, it's going to be like Star Trek, and we're all going to be, humanity is going to work together to go to space and share this experience. No.
We can't work together.
We can't even work together here.
on Earth. So that's,
China's
that's a
bringing
challenge.
guns to space.
Wow.
They're going to have armed bases on the moon. They're going to dominate if we let them space. And so we have Space Force, and we need to be prepared, like every generation, to compete for those resources. They're not going to let us have them. So we have to be. They have satellites in space now that can shoot our satellites. So there's going to be conflicts and military conflicts in space in the future, and if they're on Earth, they're going to happen in space, and that's just the way it always works.
Literal
There's
Star
never.
Wars.
Well,
Imagine
I'm
the
not sure it's the
debris
same technology, obviously, but
with no gravity just out there floating around everywhere. Oh,
Yeah.
That does not sound good.
No.
But I guarantee you the Chinese and Space Force and all these other countries are building weapons that will work in space. And we already have our own Star Wars technology that can use space-based satellites to knock down incoming ICBM missiles. We have that technology.
I saw that.
Right.
I saw that
So
technology.
we have that. It's been around, Reagan launched that technology in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been
And they
around for a
nicknamed it
while.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
So there is a race for domination over space, and either we win it or we lose it, and we're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
So it's very critical that we move forward with this technology rapidly and work with the regulators, work with Congress to streamline the bureaucratic process so they're more responsive. It shouldn't take 7 months for the FAA to approve a one-page approval for a private airport. That's one page, double-spaced. Name, date, address, location, and they can't approve that for 7 months. It's just ridiculous. It seems like, I know from the average person, it seems, that's not bad for government work, but it's the FAA's own internal system says it should take 20 minutes to review that document.
Right.
And they couldn't get around to it for 7 months.
That's that's our wonderful government at their best. 7 months, right?
Right.
That's impressive for our government.
Well, no, it's just because I called and bugged them every day till they got it done.
They're like, it's Rob again. He wants to know about that one page.
Yeah.
Texting him, emailing him.
Did you look at it yet?
Thank God it wasn't 2 pages, Rob.
Yes.
It wouldn't be done yet.
Be 7 years. So your first phase of the project is this runway. You mentioned air show races.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, again, it's subject to FAA approval, and we're working through that, but we want to have our first air race and air show event this October.
Okay.
So we're not going to be able to use our airport because it's not going to be ready yet. So we're looking at a backup airport, and I don't want to announce that yet because we're waiting on the approval from that.
Okay.
But we are planning to put on our own first event here, and that'll have 3 categories. We'll have single engine airplane, and then kind of warbirds, and then jets flying. Each category will fly 45 minutes so the first one flies about 200 miles an hour. The warbirds fly about 400. The jets will fly up to 500 miles an hour. So it's like F1, but twice the speed in the air. And by the way, our pilots are all former or current fighter pilots flying the jets. So the best pilots on Earth racing against each other at these speeds in front of the audience. It's going to be the most amazing air race in the world. Nothing like it on Earth, and faster than double the speed of F1.
Wow. And one thing that I
Wowza.
can note from visiting the property, huge, wide open, unobstructed airspace.
Yeah, no, it's the best location you can think of for air races and for air shows. We plan to have conventions out there. We plan to have events out there all the time, and we're in Vegas. So we want to invite people to sign up to host their events there, whether it's a fly-in for a wedding or fly-in for conventions, for a meetup, for manufacturers. We plan, and by the way, our air race is scheduled and working around MBAA convention. So what the MBAA convention is, it's 22,000 people that come from all around the world here every year in October, and it's called the National Business Aircraft Association. So it's the private jet industry. So the jet manufacturers.
Talk about good timing.
Right. Well, we're overlapping our event every year with those folks coming
Right.
in
Smart.
with stupid money to buy $40 million jets, and the jet fuel companies and all the companies that support the aircraft manufacturers, the engines, all these different companies that support that. We think they're great potential sponsors, and of course potential racing fans to come and come to our event and just stay a couple extra days from the convention and come to our racing. Of course, the locals here, we have, I think, the best sport industry in the world. Right?
Yeah,
I agree.
We're the capital we're the entertainment capital, we're the gaming capital.
And
we're
I
now
would say
the
we have
sports
the best
capital.
food in the world, too.
Oh,
Let's
the
just put that
restaurant
in.
capital,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
there's nowhere else
Entertainment
like Vegas.
and hospitality, we got it on lockdown.
Yeah.
And that's why I was attracted to building the spaceport in Las Vegas versus somewhere else, because we have all these things that are in line with us and taking advantage and selling to the tourists here. In addition, we have here in Las Vegas an amazing legacy of technology. You know, Las Vegas, people don't know this that haven't been here for a while. This is where they tested nuclear weapons
Yes.
for years.
Yep.
Years.
Not too far from where
No,
you're at.
no. On the other side of our hill is Creek
Yes.
Air Force Base, where
Yep.
they operate the drones.
Yeah.
We have Nellis Air Force Base, and that's where they can all the fighter jet pilots from around the world, from allies, come there and train.
Yeah.
And they control 2/3 of the airspace. They're in our they're right around us. All these great pilots, all these great people.
Plus Area 51.
Area 51, which beyond the alien stuff, that's where they actually created the stealth fighter jet, the SR-71. So we have this legacy of creating the most advanced aircraft in the world right here in Nevada. We have
Yeah.
that legacy, and so to me, it makes so much sense to continue that legacy and build a space industry here.
Yeah, no, I think that, I look forward to it, excited about
Very excited
the
about it.
concept and everything that it is. Now, before I get into this, Rob, I do want to let our listeners know that Tiana and I in Vegas Realty Check, we do not endorse or tell people how to invest, of course, but we do want you to talk about your the investment opportunity that you have for this project and tell people about that. And
Sure.
people do your own due diligence, of course, and you do have quite an extensive disclaimer that comes along with that as well, so people can talk to you and review that. But let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. So they can go to LasVegasSpaceport.org. They can reach us through the contact form if they want to get an investor deck. We'll send it to them with all the information. We offer tours of the property for investors, prospective investors. We've been doing that every week with folks, so they can actually go and see the property for themselves. They
Yes.
see it's real. It's a real site. There's a well there. They can see how beautiful it is and how open it is and what a perfect location it is. So you can go on our website. We'll send you the investor deck and you can learn about it. Our first phase right now, we're raising $30 million. That's to build the runway, get the fighter jets up and running, have the private jet terminal, have the fuel farm, have other hangars there, so we can start. From those things, we'll start generating, just from the real estate leases and stuff, $1.5 million a year. When we have the 40 hangars operational, we'll have a $1.5 million a month revenue. That'll give us, for real estate folks, a cap rate of 4.5. We'll generate
That's a good cap
That's
rate.
a
$322
good
million
cap rate.
valuation for just the site without the space stuff going on. Just the commercial lease revenue will generate that kind of valuation for the property. Now, of course, do your own homework, but and then on top of that, we're going to be starting our space operations as well. We're going to be applying for a spaceport license in a couple months. That will take a couple years to get from the FAA. So with that investment opportunity, we don't want to incur debt. So we're offering equity stock. So if you invest, you get shares of stock. You have to hold those for 2 years till we go public, and then after that, you can sell them. And of course, it is a risk, but you know what? Risk and reward. Risk and reward.
Vegas,
Any
baby.
investment is a risk. So,
Exactly.
usually if I don't think I've ever invested in anything where they said this has zero risk.
But I will tell you, you look at Apple, Apple computer and Apple iPhone. If you bought from day one, every iPhone that's come out, all the different generations, you'd spend $20,000 approximately.
Yeah.
If you put that $20,000 into Apple stock at the day they came out with the iPhone, from there till today, that $20,000 would be worth $200 million today.
Jeez.
That's pretty good return on investment.
I really need a time machine.
So
Can you
Girl.
work on a time machine, please?
Will you put that in part of your spaceport? That part of the STEM program? Get us back in time so I could buy up all the land and she could buy up Apple stock.
well, I think you have an opportunity here. If you see the vision I see,
Yeah.
and people join us and work together, we can build an industry and build this company into something that will provide thousands of jobs to Las Vegas and to the community.
Yeah, I think in general, for some of us, we think of spaceports and things like that as so far advanced in the future, and they're not going to be in our lifetime. But there's already 16 of them, both vertical and horizontal launches around the country. Now, you're only going to be horizontal
Correct.
because we can't shoot over mountains.
Well, we can't
have debris
launch.
falling.
Well, no, we can't launch rockets today because of the reliability issue. So close to 3 million folks here in Vegas.
Yep.
That's the issue, is the reliability, though. So that's why we're focused on space planes and other technologies too. So one of the things we're looking at is for rockets. Is using a 757, which has already been done before by Lockheed Martin, and having a rocket on the belly, taking off from our facility, going up over the ocean, and it drops the rocket from the aircraft and launches it in space. That's already been done 22 times by Lockheed. So it's not new, brand new technology, but it's something we can actually do from our facility and deliver satellites to space.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, Rob, how do people go to get more information or to contact you?
Well, again, go to lasvegasspaceport.org, go to the contact page, send us an email. We always respond. We're really great about that. We send you an investor deck information, and we'll reach out to you and invite you out to check out the property.
Yeah. And if you want to look for a home here on Earth,
If you're looking to buy here on Earth, we can help you. Trish, how do they get a hold of you?
702-308-2878. Tiana?
702-379-9948. Feel free to reach out and give us a call if you need anything. And thanks for joining us. This is so interesting. I'm excited about the project.
Yes, we are very excited about the project and great things. And one thing before we sign off, how many tourists are you anticipating this project will attract per year?
Well, I think just our air races alone will have 25,000 racing fans for 3 days a year. So I think thousands and thousands of people are going to be attracted to coming here. I mean, what is Vegas about? Why do people come to Vegas?
Yeah.
Because they come here for the experience that we
Experience.
offer, right? Like nowhere else on Earth.
Yeah.
We offer the best restaurants, the best hotels, and the best entertainment on Earth, right? And so having a spaceport where you can fly your own jet in, stay at our hotel, go to the convention space, fly on fighter jets, we're offering an experience here like nowhere else on Earth, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that also being between Las Vegas and Pahrump, I do think is going to, whenever you attract more tourists, you attract more workers and more people that need to live in the area. So I think it would help in real estate growth in both areas.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I had some extra money, I'd be buying up a lot of property in Pahrump for home development right now.
Because it's 10 minutes outside of Pahrump, about 40 minutes from the Strip, 15 minutes by helicopter.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is such a great location.
Yeah.
So
So,
can
And we will be
convenient.
announcing shortly, hopefully, a heliport near the Strip to go back and forth.
oh, well.
to
Okay.
land on that big, beautiful pad next to the tower at your sport. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so definitely lots of future opportunity there. And yes, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about everything here, because we've been guessing and talking about what we've been seeing on the news, and we
Now
like to
we're
get the
filled
facts
with
from
facts.
the source.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Really
We
enjoyed it.
appreciate you coming out, Rob.
Well,
So,
thank
you.
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying thank you for coming out, and thank you, Vegas, for tuning into us.
Thank you. If you guys are liking our show, please like, share, subscribe, hit that, smash that like button, and keep following us. And you can find everything Vegas Realty Check at realtycheck.vegas. Thanks, guys.
See you next week. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.